Hey guys, so here we are. We're going to work on subtracting some rational expressions today. And the good news is, coming off of, we just spent an entire day working on adding rational expressions. The good news is today is 95% review. And we just got one really new pesky thing to worry about. But I think obviously what's going to happen today is I think you're going to see your confidence level go from, from a 5 to a 7, or from maybe a 6 from an 8, as far as on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as, finding that common denominator and manipulating these fractions. So what are we getting into today? So you'll see, obviously, we're working on subtracting. So you're saying the directions are going to say find the difference because we're subtracting. And the big pesky thing is that we've got to put parentheses around, especially that numerator. Not so much the first one, it's not as big of a deal, but really big deal on the second one here. So you see this minus sign, I want you to automatically get into the groove of putting parentheses around that bar so that we can get that distributed. That's really what today is all about. Okay. So here's a real quick recap from yesterday. We said if you want to add or subtract two rational expressions with the same denominator, then by golly, all you got to do is add or subtract the numerators and then take that result and write that result over the common denominator itself. So what we've got cooking here in this first example is we've got a common denominator of x minus 3. That's the good news. That's the good news. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to combine these into one fraction now. And I am determined to make this handwriting a little bit more legible than yesterday. So we've got the first numerator, and I think really the parentheses are optional right there. And then we've got the second numerator, and here's where those parentheses are absolutely mandatory, right? Because what we're going to do is we're going to get this minus sign distributed next. So I'm going to go 2x minus 9 minus 3x plus 10 all over x minus 3. And then we can go ahead and combine the like terms and say, okay, if you combine this 2x with this negative 3x, you get negative x. And if you combine the negative 9 with the positive 10, you get a positive 1, right? And we are all done. And so really, I think what's new today is we've just got this extra step where we had to distribute the negative to get this. Like yesterday, we would have just skipped this step altogether because, we didn't have to distribute anything. We just, boom, combine like terms. So today we're just sprinkling in one extra step because we got to distribute that negative sign. Now, of course, the real challenge comes when the denominators are not the same. And so now we're in a situation where we got to manipulate these denominators until they do become the same. And so the key, just keep telling yourself, we got to make sure that we multiply by some form of 1. Whoopsie, I didn't mean to cross that off. I meant to highlight it. So we're going to multiply by some form of 1. And so I look at these denominators, and it doesn't look like I can reduce anything. So what I'm going to, or I should say, I don't think I can factor anything. I make sure I use the proper vocab here, of course. So I'm going to multiply the first one by x minus 3 on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to multiply this one by x plus 6 on the top and the bottom. So let's say, and again, we don't have to be as careful with the first fraction. Let's just go ahead and distribute the 10, and that's going to make 10x minus 30. And then, but I will put parentheses there just for fun, not as important. But anyway, let's carry down that minus sign, and then we'll start distributing the 4. And this is the parenthesis that's really, really important, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really important to get this parenthesis here, this parenthesis here. And then we're going to put that over our common denominator, which is going to be the product of x minus 3 and x plus 6. Okay, now what? Now what we got cooking? Let's distribute this minus sign. So now we're sitting with 10x minus 30 minus 4x minus 24 all over x minus 3, x plus 6. We'll combine like terms. So we get 6x minus 54 all over x minus 3, x plus 6. And then there is an opportunity to take out a GCF. And I think if we factor out a 6, we'll get x minus 9. But unfortunately, starting to anticipate that nothing's going to cancel. So we're saying, well, by golly, we gave it a shot and nothing canceled. So we'll say that's our final answer. All right, we're building and we're building and we're building, and we've got ourselves a real big bear. The big difference now is we've got to get these denominators factored, right? So right out of the gate, let's just factor the first denominator into x minus 4, x plus 1. We're getting so good at factoring, it's automatic. It's as simple as adding 2 plus 2, isn't it? X plus 6, x minus 4. Okay, so now here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking my common denominator is going to be a factor. I want to include the factor x minus 4. I want to include the factor x plus 1. And I want to include the factor x plus 6. And so I took this guy, I took this guy, I took this guy, and then I didn't have to take this one because I already had it. So, I didn't have to repeat it, so to speak. Now, what's the very first one missing? This denominator is missing a factor of x plus 6. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by x plus 6. And of course, this is going to be some foiling, right? Boom, 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 boom. So by the time you do all of your distributing, you're going to get x squared plus 8x plus 12, right? Put that in parentheses. We got our minus sign, and then we're going to start that second set of parentheses. This denominator here is missing who? Yeah, it's missing a factor of x plus 1. Oops, I don't know why I put extra parentheses there. Guess it's better than not having enough. So again, I'm going to distribute the x. I'm going to distribute the negative 5, just a boatload of foiling here. So I'm going to get minus 4x minus 5. And of course, we're wrapped up in parentheses. Ladies and gentlemen, if we only get one thing out of tonight's is I want to see great parentheses here tomorrow when we get going on our homework. Let's really value those parentheses right there so we can get that negative distributed, right? So let's go ahead and start that right now. We're going to distribute this negative, and then we'll be in a nice position to combine like terms. So here we go. We've got our x squared plus 8x plus 12, right? Minus x squared plus 4x plus 5 all over our common denominator. How thankful are you that we don't have to foil out these denominators? That's something I haven't mentioned yet. It's very, very acceptable to leave our denominators in a factored form. We don't have to multiply them out, right? So this is so nice just to rewrite them this way. It's a big time saver. So what happens if I combine this x squared with this negative x squared? They cancel, right? They cancel. Let's combine the 8x with the 4x here to make 12x. And then I'll combine this positive 12 and this positive 5 to make 17. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our final answer, eh? All right. I just think a lot of reps are so valuable here. So we're going to practice one more. How are you going to factor this first denominator, eh? Let's take out a GCF of x. And then how are we going to factor this second denominator? I'm saying let's go difference of two perfect squares. Looks good, looks good. Okay, so what's your common denominator going to be? I'm going to need a factor of x, right, because of this rascal. I'm going to need a factor of x minus 3 because of this rascal. And of course, now I've got another one over here, but I don't need to repeat it. And then I've got a factor of x plus 3 because of this rascal. Now, what's the very first one missing? This first denominator is missing a factor of x plus 3. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom. I'm going to distribute the x, distribute the 3, combine like terms. We've done that a few times. We're getting pretty smooth at that. Of course, we're going to put parentheses there. We got our minus sign. We're going to start our next set of parentheses. This denominator is missing a factor of x. So we're going to multiply the top and bottom by x to get x squared minus 2x. And again, look at these beautiful parentheses right there. So let's go ahead and take care of the business here. We're going to distribute that negative. We've got x squared plus 7x plus 12 minus x squared plus 2x. I don't know. We should put a little poll question in here and see, is my handwriting any better than last night's? Can't say that it is for sure. I don't know. Maybe it's a 1% improvement. I guess that's better than nothing. We're going to combine this x squared with this negative x squared. They cancel out. We're going to combine. And that 7x and that 2x are going to make a really nice 9x. And then we just got a random plus 12. Let's put that all over our common denominator of x minus 3, x plus 3. And, I think I see an opportunity to take out a GCF of 3. But unfortunately, I don't think anything's going to cancel. So we're just going to sit on this for our final answer. And by golly, we're going to keep getting some more great quality reps tomorrow in class, and we'll keep rocking from there. Take it easy.